Welcome to Retro Scale Modelling. This is part 21 of the DeAgostini Star Wars Millennium Falcon build. Scale is 1 to 43. I am working through issues 66 to 69 in this video, adding the armor plating to the ring that I built in the previous issues. So let's jump into this and see how I get on. So starting off with issue 66. And I won't actually be using any of the parts supplied in this issue. This issue and the next one, I think, is predominantly adding the plate into the frame. So I'm adding the plates to the frame. As you can see here, I'm fast forwarding this part because it's all much the same, but obviously just different bits of plate. And all I'm doing is marrying up each part. Some of them are very tight fits. There's little spaces inside the frame, little lugs on the plates themselves, and they go through the pre-drilled holes and then get pressed in quite firmly, and then they get screwed on from the inside of the frame. Now these parts do interlock as well, almost like a tongue and groove, so it can be quite challenging to get them all in. What I've done was test fitted each part first before adding the screws in that, and I didn't over tighten the screws. I just placed the screws in as a holding position, but once the part was in and its adjacent part was on, then I would tighten up the actual screws themselves. But the whole process takes a good few hours to complete, so there's quite a lot of work involved putting these plating parts on. And just come to the end of this particular issue. And as you can see, if I just slow it down there, that's the majority of the plate work now on. And then it's on to issue 6 or 7. And in this issue, I've got another recess to build and put in place, but I'll be using the part from issue 66 for this. I'm going on to Tamiya's XF53 Neutral Grey, and if you haven't watched the previous video, I explained that this recess cover, the base should either be this sort of colour or indeed the beige colour. I've opted for the darker colour. It's easier to weather and it makes the actual parts stand out a little bit more. It may not necessarily be screen correct as such, but when I was looking at everything, how it should be, there was so much grime, dust and everything accumulated in these recessed parts that it was a greyish sort of colour anyway, or even a little bit darker than the natural grey that I've been using. So this is why I adopted for option to have this colour. So as you can see, I'm carrying on building it up. There's various components on this one, unlike the last one. It's quite a lot to build up, but they're built in the all same principle, making sure I do them in the proper order, because there is various pipes and so forth that do overlap certain parts, so it is crucial that I do get them placed down in order. And so now I'm just placing the last part on and it's coming to an end. Now I will weather these as well later on, but for now I have to wait until everything's dried. So now I'm going on issues 68 and 69, so I'm doing both together, and as you can see by the illustration, this is completing the plate work for the main frame. Now the reason why I'm doing both of these together is because there's only a few parts in each section and it all combines into one, and it's all very similar process. So as you can see there, the first thing I'm doing is connecting the connectors, or the rib connectors, and these had to go in a certain way. On the face of it, they look like just a rectangular piece, but there's a slight variation in size. So I didn't realise that at first, and it took a little bit of a while to figure out exactly how they go. it didn't help because they are an extremely tight fit. That's good for the build, obviously because it's getting lit up. But when you're trying to build it, trying to ascertain which end goes where, and there's no descending marks on it, it took a little bit of figuring out. But once the ribs were on, I was able then to put each section in and then connect it to the next rib. So now the outer section is done, it's time for the inner section. And this is much the same, but obviously the ribs are in a curve instead of a straight line. These were easier to place on. Again, matching up the holes for the screws was a little bit difficult, just because it was such a tight fit, and they have to be 100% straight on with the hole, or you end up cross-threading your screw, and you end up in a hell of a mess, if that happens, of course. There is only two sections of this particular part, and this is on from issue 69 that I'm working on here. The outer ring was issue 68. So as I finish the last pieces, I'll end part 21 here. As you can see, it's much the same as the outer ring, same processes to make up the backplate. Now this is the part is going over the engine, which will be completely removable for access to wiring and so forth. So if you haven't done so already, why don't you check out the channel for my other builds? There's something there for everyone, I would like to think now. If not, leave a comment and let me know if there's something you may like to see, and I'll see what I can do. So if you subscribe to the channel, you'll be updated if you hit the notification bell of this build and of course all my future builds. Hit that like button, and then as I said, leave a comment, and also don't forget to share the video. But for now, thank you all very much for watching. Bye bye.